Hello, and welcome to part 9. Shigetarō Shimada. And I'm going to start this off by saying there are a few officers in the Japanese Navy who I am far less, and I would never consider myself enamored with them, but because as I said, they're not nice people. But some of them I consider patriots, who I can sort of see why they ended up in the scenario they did. Some of them, especially some of the ones we're going to get into, were both anti-war in terms of not thinking it a good idea, and still did their duty to the utmost they could, even though they didn't think they had a chance of winning. And I have even more respect for them. And there are some, like this gentleman, who honestly I find less than I would like. But before we get into that, a quick reminder, as many people who are viewers of my channel, but if you're not a viewer you won't notice, there is currently a family bragging rights bet going with my aunt. I love her dearly, but this is how my family communicate their love for each other. We set bets. And the bet is this. If I get to 13,000 subscribers by December the 1st, 2021, she and my uncle will wear Blackburn face masks, and I'll take a photo wearing them. And I'll be able to flash it up on the video. Fun times. I'm not sure how long she'll allow it to be left up on the video, because it'll be up on a live video, and I will possibly have to go and edit it out afterwards, because she'll go, that's not staying up for posterity. But that is the bragging rights bet. So please, 13,000 subscribers by December 31st. Help me any way you can. Thank you. Alright. He is described by various people as Tojo's droopy drawers, or Tojo's sea servant, or briefcase carrier. The IJN was not appreciative of him at all, especially as it was considered he'd sort of stabbed Asami Nagano in the back, in that he is Minister of the Navy. He is Minister of the Navy from October 1941 to July 1944. And he basically conspires to discredit Nagano. He's backing up Tojo, presenting all the worst things to try and make it as bad for Nagano as possible, and to get Nagano got rid of. He is a politician, and he finally succeeds, and he becomes Chief of the Imperial Staff, Japanese General Staff, Navy General Staff, and frankly, they're not unappreciative of him. For some reason, the other officers don't trust him. Can't think why. As Minister of the Navy, he approves plans for Pearl Harbor. How do I describe him? By combining those two roles of minister and of chief of the staff, he basically becomes supreme commander of the Imperial Japanese Navy. And that's a powerful role. And if you're going to do that, you need to act like it. You need to be it. You know, Fisher talks about making himself an admiralissimo during World War One. There are various people at times who have, in for navies, assumed that role. Without a doubt, every single other one who's managed to assume that role has been able to combine some form of naval strategy and strategic thinking with a large chunk of political acumen and the ability to manipulate and court events. He lusted after power, but mainly got it thanks to his ability to provide Tojo with the information he needs. And unfortunately for him, he has no friends at court other than Tojo. He has no friends in the Navy because of the way he's achieved it and because he's not seen as a great naval officer. His prior history, he joins the Navy in 1904. He's assigned to cruisers Nikita and Ottawa, and by 1909 he served on the cruiser Tsukuba and the battleship Setsu. He graduates with highest honours from Naval War College in December 1915 and is promoted to Lieutenant Commander in December that year. Serves as an assistant naval attaché in Rome during World War One. Staff positions during the 1920s. Ends up as an executive officer on the battleship Hager in 1922, instructor in Naval War College 1923, and commander of the submarine division in 1926. He spends most of his time in cruisers and battleships. The thing is, at no point does he make himself distinctive. He is the longest lasting. He dies in 1976, aged 92, the last admiral of the EIJM to die, and really, well, one of the last ones. I think there was actually one who lived a bit longer. But one of the interesting things I found, and I've looked into it, he doesn't really make a legacy for himself. He can't really make a legacy for himself. And here's the real problem, because he does all the machinations to achieve power, and mainly he does that by pointing out all the things, the fact that they're losing, and the fact that Nagano had predicted they were losing, and then says, oh, I will change things. We will be able to carry on the war alone. Because Germany we don't trust, Italy has fallen out, we will carry on the war alone. And that's not good. Leyte Gulf, Philippines. All sorts of campaigns take place during his time as Chief of Staff. There are some strategic high points for the Japanese Navy. Most of them are achieved despite his involvement. And most of them are quite low points. And the thing is, at this point, Tojo is both Prime Minister and Chief of the Army General Staff. So the army is being run and coordinated by the Prime Minister, theoretically. And the Navy is being run and coordinated by the Tojo's lackey. Which means they should have finally been working together a lot more than they were. But the fact is they're not, because of the way they've achieved it. And also, Because in the end, they haven't got Hirohito's support. And the Navy's losing battle after battle because he doesn't have any support. And this eventually leads to a very interesting scenario. And it's going to be the officer I'm going to be discussing as officer number 13 in this series. Originally I was doing 12, it's now got to 14. There isn't really much to do a verdict on. Shigetarō Shimada is... he's a picture. There is part of me which feels sorry for him, because in many ways he doesn't have the background. He doesn't have... how do I put this? He doesn't have the status that you really need, you would normally associate with getting ahead. He is a very unassuming, in some ways, character. But he's also thirsty for power. And he wants to command Navy. And the fact he puts so much effort into getting to command Navy, and then he does what? Battle of Leyte Gulf? And the trouble is, when you're supreme, when you make yourself Supreme Commander, you have no one else to blame. That's the thing. When you're Minister of the Navy, under the Japanese system, you can blame the Chief of Staff, because he's your superior. He's your boss. When you become Minister and Chief of Staff, Supreme Commander, you can't blame anyone. When you're Chief of Staff, you can't blame anyone. At the end of World War II, he is convicted and sentenced to life for waging aggressive war against the United States, United Kingdom, China, and Netherlands. There is no doubt he was involved in making those decisions. He's released on parole in 1955 by Prime Minister Ikehiro Hatamaya and dies in 1976, as said, 21 years later. One of the interesting things is Tojo at several times seemed to have pushed for him to be given the status of Marshal Admiral, and Hirohito prevented it. There was a limit to even Tojo's power. So what have we got coming up? Well, as said, this is going to continue. And I will be announcing shortly. Probably by the time this goes up, I will actually have worked out the dates for them. But it's going to take me a few hours sitting down. And I've been very busy with books and sorting out those sort of things this week. But we'll see when the actual dates will be. Anyway, for the patrons. But thank you. Take care. And hope you enjoyed. Oh, and I should add that whilst the Long Patrol is being a series of shorter videos combined together, so it's not the hot. Some of these videos are certainly longer than others, and in the case of this one, it's short because even the book I have on these admirals doesn't have that much about him, and there is only literally one book.